Howdy, guys, gals, and non binary pals. This is the Tales from the Waystone Summer Reading Program.
We are your hosts, Will and Phoenix. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the third installment of our series on Travis Baldree's Bookshops and Bonedust, Love, Death, and Cobras, where we'll be reading chapters 12 through 17.
All right, please ignore if you hear random noises and a short explanation of the podcast. Each week, we'll be examining a section of Bookshops and Bonedust and figuring out what we can take from the text to apply to our real lives. We will also take some time to focus on something we have learned this week, and then we will share a recommended thing of the week. Probably before all that, we will have said a notable quotable from the book that made us smile or laugh or think. Before we begin, let's get some disclaimers out of the way. First of all, we are in no way affiliated with Travis Baldree or his publisher, Tor Books. Second of all, our discussions naturally assume that you have read through chapter something, 17, I think, because this hasn't been updated in a while, of Bookshops and Bonedust. If you haven't, please pause the podcast right now. Go read it. It's okay. We'll wait. Cool. Now that you're back, either you have read the passage or you really don't care about spoilers. Either way, spoilers ahead. Also, a word to our community, please be kind to yourselves, one another, and the creators of the worlds that we love exploring.
All right. So, when last we left off, the man in gray had just kicked Pot Roast and walked out of the bookshop,
indicating that this man is an
ash hole, and Viv had left in pursuit.
Next chapter, injured Viv gets in a brawl.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to downplay the fact that on some level this dude probably deserved it. But at the same time, this was all spectacularly unwise of Viv to pick this particular fight at this particular time.
I'll say this, as someone who is now recovering from 2 surgeries in the last 4 months, I do not recommend reopening wounds. I haven't done that because I am not dumb and I have gone out of my way not to do that. Sometimes people do that by accident. Sometimes people do that because they were stupid enough to think that they were all better before they were.
Yeah.
And I'm saying like way before they were. Like not even any indication that they're fine.
Yeah, like Viv is at this point only a couple weeks post-op.
On top of that, she has a wound that is clearly not healed.
Right. This is also a major traumatic injury, too.
With a major artery pumping blood out of her if it gets reopened? Yeah. Which is what happened before Iridia basically just pulls the man in gray and Viv apart. Now, this happens after Galena comes along and pretty much saves Viv's bacon. So I guess really Iridia pulls the 3 of them apart.
Yeah. And even as obviously Galena had the guy dead to rights and was in a position where she could have ended things pretty quickly, he seems weirdly unmoved by all of this.
In fact, actually, he does the frustrating monkish thing in the jail cell of, I'm just going to sit here very quietly meditating, ignoring everything that's going on around me. Because of course all 3 of them are in jail now.
And throughout all of this, while he's basically a blank slate, Viv and Galena managed to actually form a bit of a bond here.
It's the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
It really is. It's where Galena is now more than just an annoyance to Viv, and Viv is more than just Galena's meal ticket.
Yes. So, an interesting thing psychology-wise. When someone asks you for help, it tends to form a more favorable picture of that person in the heads of people who were like, I don't really like this person. So let's say that there's a person who doesn't like me and I go and I ask them to help me out with something and we work together on it. I'm not saying that that person will now instantly like me. I'm just saying that there is a more favorable opinion now.
I think there's something to it. Maybe it has something to do with the act of appearing vulnerable to another person, which helps the other person also to drop their guard a little bit.
Yes, that is actually part of it, is if you look vulnerable, Like, if you're willing to show some form of vulnerability or some form of need, it creates a relationship where there's a helper dynamic. And when you help someone, you feel like you did a good. And when you feel like you did a good, it associates positive feelings between you and the other person.
Mhm.
So, honestly, like, one of the best ways to get someone who's kind of been an
Ashhole.
to you to stop it is to ask them for help.
And it's here we also learn a little bit more about Viv's relationship with Rackham and the Ravens. Turns out that Rackham isn't just her first boss. He's also an old family friend who's almost like a taciturn, stoic uncle.
I got more of a he has the uncle vibes, but he wasn't already friends with Viv's family.
But he was teaching her how to chop wood at 5 years old.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh. I missed some things because I kind of tried to speed through this. I'm going to admit that this happened. I read this as I was anticipating our D&D group showing up. Well, our Daggerheart group showing up. So I tried to read through it fast, so I may have missed a few details.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I remembered that correctly when I read through it again this morning. So
Because you're a smarty.
I'm supposed to be a smarty. But no, I think Viv was a known quantity by the time she applied to join. And even as that foreknowledge helped her get in the door, it didn't automatically give her a pass on anything. But Galena does note that Viv had a few privilege elements working in her favor. Viv looks like an adventurer. She immediately looks like someone who knows her way around a fight.
She's big, she's strong, she carries a sword with confidence.
And she has a close personal relationship with the boss.
Galena is tiny, carries around these little knives, but a ton of them, and does not look like someone you would take seriously in a fight, which is actually really interesting when there are characters like that kind of defy your expectations. We're watching campaign 4 on Critical Role, and Thimble, who is being played by Laura Bailey, is a 4-inch tall pixie. And spoilers if you haven't watched and want to watch, really, really sorry, but she absolutely trounced and soloed a baddie that was not light on hit points. You have to think differently in those situations. Like, she poked out his eyes, she did little cuts through his neck, but she does not seem like she could solo a baddie. And it was so gratifying to watch her do it.
I think it can be very beneficial for some people to play into people's expectations so that they can then subvert them later. But at the same time, it can sometimes be a challenge that you have to overcome.
Not to say that if you fall directly into your stereotypes, that that's a bad thing. I just think that there is at least a narrative device where we've got unexpected and subversive, and that's gratifying.
I think the other thing that I noted from this whole passage, not just around Galena and Viv, but also around Maylee and also just the other townsfolk, like Pitts, all of these stereotypes that we have of other people based on, what they look like, what they do for work, what they sound like, what their accents like, all of those things get in the way of us having a deeper understanding of who they actually are. We've all got these things that kind of defy the stereotypes of what we're supposed to be. And like while that stereotype may have some validity to it one way or the other, it's almost never the whole truth, the whole picture. Like, for instance, Viv, yes, she does fit the stereotype of the big, physical, capable adventurer, the fighter, the barbarian type. She's obviously very capable with a blade and she's comfortable in a fight. But there's another side to her too that, I mean, if we remember in Legends and Lattes, it was all about her rejecting that as her whole person. That there was this other part of her who delighted in coziness, in warmth.
And I think that honestly, this prequel does a good job of showing that she's not just a fighter starts her down the path of there's something else.
I think this is as much about her having an awakening of who she is beyond just that surface level reading of, I'm a big, strong fighter who fights and I like fighting and I'm good at fighting and therefore I fight and I fight well. Like we see that she has a gift for book selling because she's pretty good at reading people and she's kind of gotten into this with Fern.
You're squeaking, by the way.
I just caught that. Sorry. Speaking of squeaking, Fern has also helped her to embrace looking at somebody else and looking at how you can help them, how you can find something that they'll delight in.
I really like how, especially in cozy books like this, people who sell their wares are portrayed as invested not only in the items they're selling, but in the people they're selling them to. And to try to put it in a kind of more specific, I like how we've got these people who are finding out from their customers, hey, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. This is the kind of thing that brings me joy, that brings me relaxation, that makes me think, that makes me want to think harder about the world, or this is how I'd like to check out instead of constantly being in the thinky position. And then can go, hey, I've got just the thing. I'm going to try this out on you and please tell me if you like it later.
Yeah, it's not about trying to get the sale.
Right.
It's about connecting another person with something that you think that they would like.
Like when we sold games at Emerald City Comic Con for a couple of years, I was unexpectedly to my own self good at selling the complicated, huge box games that are like, at the time, were like $60. No small feat, right? It isn't like that's a small purchase. Trying to carry that around everywhere, trying to even convince someone to spend $60 at a convention when there's so much stuff to buy and everyone has a budget.
Yeah, it's a big purchase both fiscally and size-wise. Convincing someone that they want to lug that around the convention for the rest of the day.
Or offering to let them keep it at the booth and come back.
Right.
But I sold more of those things than, like, apparently our boss had ever gotten sold at a convention. Like, she had to bring more of them the next day. And she's like, how are you doing this? And I'm like, because I'm listening to whether or not they enjoy something complicated. And then I'm enthusiastic because I love this game about telling them how this game works.
Yeah, you understood the games that we were selling.
And not only that, but like I also knew if they were more interested in a smaller game and wanted more slapstick stuff, and then I'd recommend Nuts. We've got Seven Wonders, we've got Nuts, we've got a whole range in between. And it's really about knowing your product and it's really about reading the people.
Yeah, and that can be more than just surface level too. Like you can't just say, "Oh, you like cute things. Here's the thing with cute things in it." It's, "Oh, you like cute things and you also like something with deeper strategy to it. We're going to point you towards this."
Cute things and strategy, I'm going to point them towards Sushi Go.
Right.
Cute things and subversive and twisted, I'm going to point them at Kittens in the Blender.
And, it's also about knowing, are you looking for something that you can play with a small group versus a large group?
With children or with adults? With adults with dirty minds or adults that just want to play a game that is wholesome and fun?
Yeah.
Are you a wordy type game person? Are you a strategy type game person? Are you a that's got really pretty pictures type game person? This has a lot of bird facts type game person.
Yeah. All those are valid things to be. Like, so for instance, we discover that Pitts really loved his book of poetry.
Yeah. Are you a poetry person? What do you know? Pitts is a poetry person. That wasn't expected. That's really awesome.
He actually likes this short book, not because it's short, but because it lets him go through these small little things and just kind of turn them over in his mind.
It makes him think. And I have discovered for my own self, I don't do well with what I would consider a popcorn book. I nitpick the writing. I nitpick if they say the same thing 15,000 times in the book that is only 300 pages long. I can't handle things that have absolutely no challenge to them, even if all I want to do is read something that will turn my brain off. It just doesn't work. I need something with a little bit of meat. I need to be able to analyze something. I need to be able to look into things and see something I can dig into and be interested in. And so, like, I'm not built for things that just are a wash over me. I have to have something with a little deeper. Not necessarily like very, very deep. Because I'd be lying. If I was looking always for something very, very deep, I wouldn't be reading any of the things that we've read for the summer reading program yet.
Yeah, these are all relatively lightweight, but they do have at least something more to them.
Yes.
And I would say that recognizing that people are more than just their stereotypes is the key to all of this. So Fern looks beyond Viv as big fighter, big muscle lady, and sees someone who actually has kind of a romantic soul to her.
And Fern brings Viv a book in jail.
Yeah, the book that she's been working on.
Yeah, might not be the best option for a very public jail cell, like with two other people in the room.
She also, crucially, brings some baked goods from Mei Lee.
Yes. I do want to say one thing though. If you're anything like me and you get a spicy book, you're like, oh God, my face is turning red. I don't want anyone to see it. No one knows what you're reading unless they've read it too, in which case don't be embarrassed because they know what you're going through, whether you find that to be positive emotions or not, where you're like, oh God, I don't want to be having this. Like, I privately want to read my book. And I have had that situation where I'm like, holy crap, please no one look at me.
Especially if you have a physical reaction to it.
My face turns red. Very, very red. Very, very red. Anyway, but yes, a bag of baked goods from Mei Lee. Mei Lee has a crush.
No kidding.
And I don't know that she'd be very happy, but probably like logically would be fine with the idea that Viv is sharing with Galena, whose stomach is rumbling because, as Galena has said multiple times, she has a high metabolism.
I think that in this situation, also given that Galena has bailed out Mei Lee's crush, because without Galena's intervention, Viv would probably be dead.
Maybe not dead, but definitely incapacitated.
Much worse off.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, she reopened her wound. Yeah, she got chastised, let's say chastised, by her surgeon again.
Poor Highlark.
I know, I feel so bad for that man. And, like, she's not in a good spot, but Galena did save her bacon.
Yeah.
And that is step one. Yes, very much towards a very beautiful friendship. You can tell I'm annoyed at you and you still helped me.
Yeah.
And, like, Iridia is there as a side character to kind of just be like, don't you do anything. I'll know. Okay, now I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of my overnight jailer person. And so a cute little exchange does happen between Galena and Viv, who have both acknowledged and are creeped out by the man in gray, but kind of just continue on being themselves, even though they're doing it in front of the man in gray. And after the baked goods dinner, there's conversation that leads to Galena asking to be read to from this book that Viv is like, no, I'm not reading this out. No, please. No, please.
Okay, fine, 1 chapter.
2.
Deal.
And then Galena just falls asleep.
I thought that was kind of cute. Galena is kind of a bit of a hyperactive child, a little bit.
Yeah, I will say though that same attitude of please, is what got me to buy tickets to go to PAX. And then you're like, hey, now that you have tickets to go to PAX, do you need to share a hotel room with anyone?
No comment.
So, I mean, it's not a bad strategy.
It did pay off the once.
Well, Viv tries to read, book falls on chest, she falls asleep. Then in the morning,
the man in gray is gone.
Slipped past the guard, except probably also knocked out the guard.
And he's taken all of his weapons and his mage stone that he uses to cast spells,
Didn't touch anything of Galina's.
or Viv's, and obviously probably could have killed the Night Watchman.
And Viv and Galina.
So whatever his game here is, he's not that interested in starting something.
Yet.
We also recognize here that he's had a weird smell about him that Viv has commented on, and she finally places it.
He smells like a white, like a Draugr.
Yeah, like Vareen the Pale, the necromancer that she'd been chasing after with Rackham's ravens. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, none of that's good.
Not at all. And Iridia actually takes this pretty seriously once Viv helps make this connection.
I mean, lets Viv and Galina go.
Yep.
And so Viv just kind of goes back to the inn and collapses.
Because, you know what? Yeah, maybe she got some, quote, sleep in the jail cell, but it wasn't the same as being in her bed.
No. She doesn't really have her own bed. This is still a hotel.
But it's still a damn sight better than a jail cell.
It is, but my point is that as much as I've enjoyed going and having trips and having stays even at the most comfortable places, it's always better to come back home.
Yes.
Which she doesn't have right now.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that is going to drive her decision making as we look into Legends and Lattes, because she hasn't actually had a permanent home since she was a kid. You know, she's always on the road as an adventurer, and this bit in the inn is the closest thing she's had to a permanent spot. And even then, she knows it's only for a bit.
Only for a few more weeks. But at the same time, it seems like that's giving her the opportunity to really savor her space right now. So, like, her time with Galina, her time with Fern, her time with Pot Roast, having a chance to enjoy the bookshop, to enjoy the beach, to enjoy reading. It's giving her time because she knows there's kind of an end point. It's the same thing like when we've gone on trips where all we do is read. I feel like because I know that that time is limited, I find more enjoyment out of doing the things I had intended to do rather than spending my time dinking around on my phone or like pausing to do other things that I don't really get fulfillment out of. Everything is intentional and my time is spent in ways that wouldn't necessarily get spent if I were just at home.
Yeah. There's also something else here that you kind of touched on that sparked a thought in my brain. Because she's spending a little bit more time here in the Merc than she otherwise would, she's approaching the place not as a tourist. She's not here to see the sights. She's here to actually appreciate the people. So she develops a friendship here with Fern, who is someone who on the surface is not someone that you'd think that they'd become close friends. But Fern has proven to be a good confidant and friend and someone who has awakened a side of Viv that she didn't even know existed. And it's let her develop a relationship with Mei Li, who is, in addition to being a great baker, someone who has this really warm, sassy feel to her and also happens to have a bit of a shine for Viv.
And while both of them know that this will be short-lived, it can still be sweet.
There's something to be said for having a limited run relationship.
It also gives you the opportunity to savor things.
Yeah.
To really be intentional and really think about things. Now, Viv still really enjoys being at the bookstore, and it's here that she can be found, specifically by Galina, who's like, okay, I can see why you like this. And then she goes and settles herself down in Viv's chair, and instantly Pot Roast is just like, I love you. Much to Viv's chagrin, because while Viv doesn't want to be all lovey on Pot Roast, she'd at least like it if Pot Roast liked her. She's tried. And it reminds me a lot of our DM who keeps coming over and trying to make Sokka love her.
He's just not a fan.
I don't think he likes women.
Yeah, he's a little chauvinist.
Like, he's absolutely loved a bunch of guys and non-binary people, mostly non-binary people. I think that they just remind him of me.
That could be. And Ethan.
Oh, and he absolutely loved your best friend from before middle school?
Let's just say childhood best friend.
Childhood best friend.
Yes, they get on great.
The funny thing is, so like you could just say, well, he obviously doesn't want to love on people who love on him. Nope.
Well, it's probably because my best friend reminds him of me.
Yeah, that's possible. But anyway, to move on.
So, one of the things that I really enjoyed in this little section here is Galena is starting to appreciate Viv's other side, not just as someone who can give her a leg up on adventuring, get her a reference, but as someone who appreciates stories. And Galena appreciates them, she just doesn't have a whole lot of patience.
I've seen this phenomena where people are like, I like to be entertained, and then they just skip through or they change channel or they whatever. And so, like, I'd say like the scrolling through TikTok is very similar to the people who, and this drives me nuts, but the people who would be watching a show and then a commercial would come on and then so they'd go to a different channel.
Oh, my sister did that growing up, and it always just drove me crazy.
But how do you ever watch the end of the other show?
Right, and if you spend all of your time just trying to dodge commercials, you never actually are going to see a full show all the way through.
Yeah. So this is the same thing as people who watch half of a YouTube video like in front of me. I'm like, no, just, I want the resolution. Please stop. Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah, I get it.
Anyway, I think at this point, the next kind of big thing that happens is the companionable dinner between Viv and Meili.
And this is where Meili decides to shoot her shot.
I mean, clearly Viv has picked up on the fact that Meili has been flirting. And then, so they have a companionable dinner next to one another, kind of talking a little bit. You know, Meili's like, I used to be an adventurer like you once.
Until I took an arrow to the knee.
Or not so much. Until I burned a whole bunch of biscuits, and that showed me that I was really upset over having to do all my cooking over a campfire.
Well, and I think she felt a little bit trapped by the gender roles in the adventuring group.
I think there's that, though I think she enjoys being the cook more than she had enjoyed being an adventurer. I don't know if it's just my own perspective. I didn't read it as a gender role issue. I read it as a newbie issue.
That could be.
Where the newbie does the cooking, the newbie does the cleanup.
The chores outside.
That's why I don't like going camping.
Same.
It's a whole bunch of chores outside.
Yeah. You thought doing dishes was bad enough at home. Wait until they're all cast iron and you have to do them in a running stream.
You wouldn't no, you don't destroy your cast iron like that. You just don't do that. Don't submerge it. Don't do that. That might be why you didn't like doing chores. Because you ruined your pans and then had to cook in them.
But you get the point.
I do get the point. I'm thinking along the lines of like any reusable thing you have to clean in a basin. I hate that. Or sweeping the outdoors. I also hate that. Not that I've had experience with that. No, never. Anyway, back to the story. I think the romanticism wore off pretty quick. Although Meili's a bit older than Viv is. But I think she takes a similar arc to what Viv will take. Feeling like adventuring makes sense. Adventuring is fun and exciting. And then running up against the realities and going, it really isn't. I'd rather be doing this other thing.
And I think there is a common ground here too, in terms of what this other thing is. Specifically, doing something that is about creating a sense of peace and warmth and belonging and home for other people.
Community.
Exactly.
It's very similar. Meili's a baker. That's super cozy.
Yeah, just like Thimble is back in Legends and Lattes. The lassie buns that we get described here sound like the sort of thing that would be really nice and warm and hearty on a cold, rainy sea storm afternoon.
And I think there's something to wanting warm and cozy after your experiences of life are cold and wet.
Yeah, yeah. So I think there's a recognition here also that time is short. Maylee knows that this is going to be a limited run thing. Viv is going to be out of town when Rackham gets back. At least that's what she's been saying. And who can say if Viv's path will take her back through here? But life is short, and here's an opportunity for Mei Li to know someone that she otherwise wouldn't get to. And, she would like to see where this goes and appreciate the journey, even if it's not a very long one. And I think that that's an important way to view relationships. They're not an end goal, they're an experience. Whether they are, just a few months long or a lifetime, it's not like the end point is the only thing that matters in that relationship.
It is about the experiences, and to talk about the experiences the next day or somewhere. Was it directly the next day? I don't know. Maylee has invited Viv to go out and enjoy something other than sitting in her room reading. It's a warm day, and Maylee brings Viv to a boat.
Her boat, to be precise.
And they're going to go out on the water and drink. That's really what this is about. Now, Viv gets the wrong idea and kind of thinks like there might be a picnic involved. No, Maylee has brought bread for the fish, but not for the people. She's brought alcohol for the people. And I think just because she's stopped being an adventurer doesn't mean that she's got a completely different personality than when she was an adventurer.
She can still handle herself if excitement happens, but at the same time, she likes the slower pace of things.
But what I'm saying is that she's still kind of that rough around the edges. She's not always the sweetheart, not always customer service turned on, code switching to that. She can be a little bit unexpected.
One of the things that I note out here that's different, so Maylee on the boat versus Maylee in the bakery. In the bakery, she has to be on top of everything. Like, she has to know all of the timing, all the recipes for all of the stuff that she's got to bake. She's got to take care of everyone who comes through the door. She's got to juggle giving good service versus keeping people moving through the line. She's got to make sure that she's on top of her staff to make sure they know what they need to be doing and that they're getting the help that they need to get stuff done. She has to be on top of everything. Whereas when she's out on the water here, there are no demands. There's just her and no expectations. She's able to think, she's able to relax, she's able to put herself into a position where no one is making a demand on her. It's a space that is just for her. And so by inviting Viv into this space, it's this act of deep emotional intimacy. She has let Viv into her safe space, where it's just her. And her hope is that this is a space where Viv can maybe feel some of that same peace, where she isn't trying to focus on just recovering in time for Rackham to get back, or thinking about going out and fighting, or doing relentless sword drills or whatever. While she's out here on the water, she can be wholly present. It's the equivalent of having a phone-free vacation.
And if you haven't done it, highly, highly recommend it.
If you've got the capability to do so, it's an excellent gift to give yourself.
To end off this chapter, there is a little bit of discussion between Viv and Maylee, where Viv is like, can you at least tell me one good memory from your time adventuring? And Maylee tells the story of how she decided to stop adventuring, which did involve almost that romanticized truce, like Christmas truce in World War I, where just for a little bit, everyone stopped fighting. But then you got to think a little bit further and go, they probably killed each other right after.
Right.
And Viv was going to ask what happened after this little truce that happened between Mei Li and a person that in other circumstances they'd just be trying to kill one another. But then she thought better of it. She didn't want to break the spell, almost, the magic of seeing your enemy across a river and knowing that you're not going to do anything, letting each other live.
Letting each other finish up their chores outside. It's the same sort of mindset behind you don't ask someone who's served if they've ever killed someone or something like that. That's not a thing that you should ever ask.
Or if any of their friends passed.
Right. That's just a thing you don't touch.
If they bring it up, it's different.
But you don't ask for it.
No. And you especially don't ask for it in a way that sounds cheerful.
No. I think at this point, Viv recognizing that, there was a little bit of vulnerability here that Mei Li has shown her, again, constantly. It's good to respect that vulnerability and to take that seriously and to honor that by keeping it safe. Because the correct response to someone showing you vulnerability is to protect them and keep them safe in that moment and to treat that with the honor and dignity that it deserves. Because that's both Mei Li and Viv are people who've made a living hiding behind armor in one way or another, whether that is customer service voice or being the big guy, so to speak, or gal, hiding behind physical capability. So having those moments where it's safe to take the armor off is important, and you have to really honor what that means for the other person. So Viv, I think, handles that with some grace there.
She absolutely has the internal monologue and decides against the question. And that's where we leave the story for now. And so it is your turn, I believe, for notable quotables. And you're probably going to do better than I did last time. I was tired.
Well, I hope I did. So I got a couple of them here.
I mean, it doesn't take a lot.
So first I have, besides, if I'm going to starve in here overnight because you let this guy get the jump on you, I figure I earned it. I've got knowing about somebody is on the other side of the territory from knowing them. And I have a great hilarchism here. I thought you'd been spending your spare moments reading. Then I'll just clean and bind the wound and pretend that my expertise is valued.
Yeah. A sarcastic, snarky doctor. It's just, oh, chef's kiss.
And then the last one here I have was from Fern with too many chapters only suitable for your room.
Yeah. Again, I've been on a school bus on my way to high school going, I shouldn't be reading this here. 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 And my face was beet red. And that's what invited questions.
Yeah. I mean, I've had the experience of reading things and then having a physical reaction that's visible. And then you're like, oh, don't look.
One of the few perks of what used to be my reproductive organs being on the inside and now in a trash heap.
So there's varying degrees, right?
Yeah.
Because one leaves zero question about what you're thinking about.
Yeah, fair.
So with that out of the way, what did we learn this week? I believe you're supposed to tell us this time.
All right, so I've got a couple because they're very hyper specific. Let's put it that way. One, this wasn't this week, this was a few weeks ago, but it's been that long, I think, since I've shared what I've learned. One, if you're ever stuck in a hospital gown and have to be on a bed, make sure that you open the back of the stupid gown and just don't give a crap about what body parts are touching the bed. Just don't let it garrot you. And so a nurse specifically was like, cheeks to the sheets, just do it. It doesn't matter. You're going to be much more comfortable if you don't try to wrap this around your body. And then the other things I've learned are a little more, I don't know, just useful to me as a crocheter. I learned how to do a couple of new stitch types or pattern types by doing both the amigurumi and the crochet advent calendars from Hobby. things that I can look at and go, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And this looks like a really cool pattern once you get it done. And I would have never thought to do this. And I've done something similar and whatever. It's like, oh, cool. I learned a new thing. I learned a new skill. I learned how to do something differently. And this is awesome. And I love it.
Yeah, you've been posting updates on that in our Discord server, I believe.
I have. I've shown a few of my things that I've made. I have to take photos of both of the advent calendars that I just opened today, although I've already started one of them.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to Thing of the Week. I have it this time. So my thing is going to be Hades 2.
Yes.
So obviously you have been listening, so you know that we are huge fans of the original Hades, which was one of my favorite games of 2021 and is just a killer roguelike.
We started playing it at the recommendation of one of our followers on a platform we're no longer active on.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Hades 2 just came out. It came out on digital in September, and then about a month ago came out on physical edition. So we've been playing the physical edition just because that's how we roll.
Because we're old, guys.
And I am really enjoying it so far. It has the same sort of wit that you get from the original, although I wouldn't say it's quite as zany.
I think it's a little more, I don't want to say stoic, earnest.
Earnest is probably the better word. There is a warmth to it, though. The relationship between Hecate and Melanoe, our protagonist, is actually pretty warm, even as there are shades of Hades to it, whereas Hades is constantly stern and disapproving and serves as sort of a guardian figure that you have to bypass, while Hecate fulfills that role as kind of a boss monster that you have to fight. She also comes across as someone who is invested in Melanoe's continued growth and hopes that one day Melanoe will beat her. It's interesting. So there's a little more warmth to the relationship there. Of course, also there's the return of Skelly, aka Skellamaeus, as your training dummy / punching bag, but also some really new and interesting mechanics, combat and spell casting, and does a lot of interesting things. I don't really want to get too deep into it because I'm not that deep into it. I'm just really having a good time with it. And I think it's worth experiencing for yourself. So that's my rec.
I think that's cool.
Yeah. And with that, I'd like to thank you for potting with me.
Thank you for potting with me.
And thanks for listening to Tales from the Waystone. Join us next time as we continue the summer reading program series with chapters 18 through 24 of Bookshops and Bonedust.
We would like to thank our friend Shawnee Jank for our theme music.
And many thanks to Travis Baldree for creating this universe that we're exploring.
Audio production and editing courtesy of me, Phoenix McCullough.
And writing and project management courtesy of me, Will McCullough.
If you would like to help support us and have the means to do so, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/waystonepod. If you just want to have a good time and hang out and see a bunch of memes and pictures of advent calendars, hey, we're here on Discord.
Link is in the show notes. And as always, here's to one more day above the roses.
To one more day above the roses.
Ding!
I can't tell you whether or not you're coming through before the machine turns on.
Okay.
It has a startup protocol.
Okay.
Hold on. I want to make sure you can move because, we are rustly people.
Yeah, that's true. We're antsy.
We're antsy.
I mean, that makes sense. We're both neurodivergent.
Yeah. Okay, well, it doesn't work well if I try to fix a problem and then you make a different problem.
Molotov cocktails and all that.
I threw a Molotov cocktail and then I had a different problem.
I'm endearing.
You are.
Welcome to the third installment of our series on Travis Baldree's Bookshops and
Bonus.
Bonus.
Bonus?
Ugh.
Bone nuts?
I regret saying anything.
Let's let you start that all over again. Give me a second to kind of shift around.
We good?
No? Let's try it again.
Okay. Each week will be. Oh wait, I don't know why I did that. We're all loosey goosey today.
A little bit. We're just all sorts of ending bloopers fodder today.
Of all the problems we could have, I'll take it though.
Mm-hmm.
Usually is a sign for a fun episode to come, I think.
Good Lord, I hope so.